Hi, everyone.
Can you turn that off?
Where is it? You're sitting on it. I'm gonna have the.
Oh, there's nothing yet. Oops.
It's at 1 o'clock.
Is it on my computer here or?
I'll put my name on it.
What do you mean going to the other room?
On my computer.
Oh.
So that you're gonna see that we're not. Even if we don't watch it, our name is that.
Oh, yeah, you should say thanks. I got the message from my colleague at Hunsick.
No, but when you don't share.
Oh.
Right.
COVID-19 pandemic. There are a lot of concerns for me and here, but we're trying to be positive and we're trying to just take the best out of all of this and be safe, keep washing our hands, keep following all the guidelines. There's enough to worry about delivery already. Just got a notice that I guess Prince Foster is also expecting her first baby due in April. COVID-19 impacting some prenatal visits. We're going to do one each. We have to and last week and this week's appointment was also canceled. Just to know that the extra risk.
Hi Nick, hi Frank.
Hello Ali, how are you?
Good, you?
Excellent.
Good to see you again, sound and safe.
Oh, definitely, yes.
Yeah.
We're just waiting for some people to join here.
Okay, we've got 5 minutes to go. Can you hear me well, Nick?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, good. Do you find the screen, the background screen, better than yesterday?
Yes, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm learning fast. No distractions for students. That's the rule.
How do we set up the chat here?
The chat, there's a chat,
there's the chat
icon at the bottom. Well,
it's Alt
it
8.
says, no, the bottom banner.
Okay.
Bottom right, I think.
Can you see that I'm sharing the screen?
Yes, I see you. I see Andrea and Ali. Hello, Andrea.
Hello, Andrea. You're muted.
I also see Maria, Claude, but without videos. And Meredith.
Andrea, tu dois être à l'aise de participer en français si tu veux.
Nick, do you want us to mute the mic or will you do it for us?
You muted yourself. That's great.
No, I didn't.
Oh, Nicholas did.
Yes, I muted myself. Okay, I'm going to try to run all these things. As will probably become very quickly apparent, I'm willing to talk, but I'm not an expert on any of this. But I think through collaboration, we'll get there.
Okay. Just one thing, Nick, while it crosses my mind, will you be recording the meeting? Because that's something I might bring up tomorrow for our meeting.
Yeah, I want to record it.
Okay, because is that okay? Would everybody be okay with that?
I think everybody's expecting that.
Not necessarily. I guess you might have to ask for permission from people.
Okay.
It
Well,
seems that's what the Zoom people recommend.
yeah, it makes sense. Now look, if I change my screen, if I tab to a different screen, are you still on the PowerPoint slide? That's what I want to know.
Yes.
So even if I switch to my browser, can you see my browser?
No.
No.
Well, that's very interesting. So I'm able to select which view I want you to see, and then I'm able to work in the background on other things, which is, I think, very handy.
On the top left-hand side, I see a red light clicking.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know what that is.
You're already recording, Nicola.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay, so let's stop the share.
Good.
Oh, yes, it's recording. Okay,
So
so
I can see you now
good. Hello, everybody.
without glasses. Go and get your glasses.
Hello. Now, perhaps you can all see.
Hi.
Hello, everybody. I've added a link to the share panel, to the chat panel here. I don't know if you can see the chat.
Yep.
Link, we can try that. Frank, can you see the chat? Do you know how to do it? It's Alt-H.
No, I'm looking at participants. Some of them have their,
Some people don't have mics, so Denise
don't
doesn't
have their
a
video turned
mic.
on.
That's okay. It's
Okay. The chat.
Hello.
Oh, Helen. Hello, Helen.
there might be a bit of an echo because we're in the same room.
Should I leave?
But Nick,
Just maybe turn on the mic.
I can take my computer to another.
hi Helen.
Hi, how are you? Hey, how are you?
Good. You?
All right. I think
Oh, I see.
very soon. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us and joining me today. Obviously, like you, I'm very concerned. Can I just ask you to?
The sound is not good.
It's my wife. She has her laptop, her microphone.
Okay.
Obviously, like you, I'm very concerned about switching everything online. Now, lucky for me, I've been doing some blended teaching, so I feel somewhat less in a panic than others might feel. So I thought we could put together a series of talks. It doesn't have to be hosted by me. I'm willing to do it. But just so that we can support each other and get thinking about the challenges that are ahead. So let me start by saying, let's just click on the link in the chat. If you click Alt-H, you'll get the chat bar.
Can I suggest something, Nick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because you just sent a link. Maybe you might be better off if you just shared it on the whiteboard or open it on your screen and share your screen.
Yeah, but that's the point. The link, as you will see, will produce, will actually send you to a Google Doc. And so it's a bit of an experiment on my part here. What I'm hoping to do is to encourage people to start writing on this Google Doc. We can all collaborate together, partly to get some ideas, but also to demonstrate one of the ways that I think we can collaborate as with our classmates on shared projects, on shared corrections, on a series of collaborative online activities. And this is one of them. So I see somebody, an anonymous chipmunk is typing how to make the transition to online teaching as easy as possible. Right. So we're going to try and get to everybody's concerns today. Now,
May I ask a question? Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear.
Hi, Nick. It's Joy. I just joined because I had a problem getting everything set up. Where is the link? You said you sent a link? Where is
It's
that?
in the chat, at the top of the chat thread. If you press Alt-H, it'll
The Control
open
H, maybe?
Alt-H. I'm not sure what it is on a Mac. Alt-H will open the chat. Is there a way
I've
to...
got the chat open, but I see that someone has, like Helen Hefter has said hello from Mama.
Can you scroll to
Joel,
the top?
that's the document.
If you... I can
I'm
put
on
it in again.
work the same way on an iPad. As soon as my laptop comes
Okay.
up,
Here we go. Now it's appeared.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's me just
Yeah.
adding it a
Well,
second time. It's the
okay.
same link.
Okay, thanks, Nick.
What do you guys think of my background?
Oh, beautiful.
Inspiring?
Yeah.
Promotional?
Promotional for our college? No, actually,
Yeah.
it's a bit of privacy on my part, because in the background you see the clutter of my office, which I've replaced with this image. And so maybe this is one of the strategies we want to consider as teachers, and that is to make our online, let's say, Zoom meetings as professional as possible by concealing the heaps of laundry behind us and the children, you know, fist fighting on the couch.
well, if it's green laundry, you can just hang it.
Sorry, so let's, I'm going to share my screen here. Let's see if I can. Share. And I've prepared a couple of slides. I'd like to try with everyone, just to get the conversation going. And so, you know, the title is Transitioning to Distributed Learning. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I made this little keep calm and carry on meme. And I showed it to my son, who's 8, and he told me it's a dead meme. It no longer has any impact or any humor value, and I should avoid using dead memes. Now I know.
Joanne is there with her pad of paper. Oh, that David.
All right, so I gave you a link, and I'm asking people to write their concerns. Perhaps we can collect it and share it at the end. And what I'm proposing is that we're all in the same boat. We should attempt to share solutions, collaborate, and encourage each other to really rescue the CEGEP system from the same kind of collapse
That in my camera.
that the healthcare system is facing and the economy is facing. And if we abdicate our responsibility to help our society get through this pandemic, then I really think that we are abdicating our responsibility as professionals. We've got to try. And the best way to try is to collaborate with other intelligent professionals. And that we do.
I can hear you, Sherry.
Hi.
Okay, so I expect that one of the attitudes towards teaching online will be that just refusing, flat out refusing to play along, saying that it's impossible, we don't have the resources, we don't have the funds, we don't have the training. You know, it's not going to happen. It's not possible considering our objectives call for interaction. And so forget it's out of the question and just let the semester die. Now, I think it's one reaction.
Sorry, that's not an option.
Well, it is an option. It is an option. We can just refuse to participate, but I don't think it is the best expression of our professionality. The other one, I think, which is a bit more realistic, and that is to say, you know, our semester has been interrupted halfway through, and what we have to do is bring this airliner of 150 students to the ground as safely as possible and save as many of them as we can. Because some of them will have difficulties and will be unable to keep up and adapt, but most of them will be able to adapt, and if we make modifications, we'll be able to get them to the final competency in some minimal way.
Sorry, Nick.
Yeah.
Can you ask that everyone turn their microphones off because we can hear background noise?
Well,
And then
okay, let's see if I can do that.
you should be able to.
Disable participants, hide video, share computer, optimize share, invite, mute. I'm sure there's a way. Mute, chat, invite, pause recording, stop.
It's in settings. You have to go into settings.
Already?
Yeah, you have to go into settings, and you have a little turn on and off microphones for people.
So I'll stop the share. We'll go into, okay, here we go. Manage participants. Here we go. Mute all. Current and new participants will be muted. There you go. All right, done. Now let's go back to mute all. Yes, all right. So now we're going to go back to share. I kind of liked having a bit of the background noise because then I know that you're all there. Anyway, I'm on my own now. All right, so the third option, I think, ultimately, is for the enthusiast to say, hey, this is great, this brand new challenge, a brand new toy for us all to play with. I think I'm somewhere between the landing the crashing airliner and look, I've got a brand new toy and a new challenge. So I don't know, we'll find out when we get to the end of the semester how it turns out to be. In some ways, this is an exciting time for us. To learn and to help each other. Okay, I think the most obvious thing for us to do is to recreate what's familiar. And that is to take what we've been doing in person and shift it online. And that means in terms of attendance and engagement, we'll have a series of questions. How can I take attendance? How can I tell if my students are even listening? How long is the break? When do I put the break? How do I organize my time? Let's say if I'm using Zoom. Well, the good news is I'm discovering this software, Zoom, allows you to take attendance, allows you to see if students are focused on the lesson or if they have other tabs open and are doing other things. I wonder if scheduling a break is worthwhile and perhaps there needs to be some thought around that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we're going to be spending 3 hours with our students in a row. The next question is, how do we take the lessons that we were giving in person? Now, I use PowerPoints, other people use chalk, but how can we go from giving the instructions for the assignments, showing PowerPoint slides, engaging students in discussion activities, and having them do lab activities at a distance? And again, this is a challenge. I have some ideas, but we're all going to have to figure out for ourselves. Now, one interesting thing to consider is that when a new technology comes along, there's always a very clumsy initial stage. Like, for instance, when TV was first introduced, perhaps you've seen the old clips of old TV shows. It's very stiff. It's very wooden. People don't know how to move around. They don't know where to put the camera. It's always at a fixed distance. They ran it as a kind of stage play with one eye on the group. Also for radio broadcast, they'd stand back from the mic and do a kind of public address where they'd shout at the microphone as if speaking to a large crowd. What they discovered, what I think TV producers and actors and radio attendants radio announcers have discovered is that in fact you have you can speak directly into your listener's ear, and in fact is a very intimate type of communication. So I think this is what we're going to discover as we shift online, is that we're going to start moving closer to the camera and try to be more personal with the people on the other end. All right. One question I'm hearing a lot is an immediate kind of crisis. Immediate crisis about what are we going to do about orals. One big concern seems to be, how can I make sure that students aren't reading? If I'm evaluating, let's say, a recording, how do I know they're not just reading from a page? Well, one thing is to embrace the notion of reading from a page in terms of task repetition to actually lead to the kind of creative automaticity that we're hoping to measure eventually. You know, we'll see where that goes. I mean, we have to explore the technology and see what we can do. The next thing is that in terms of reading aloud, there is something called production effect that my colleague David introduced me to, and that is actually saying a word or mouthing a word or writing a word makes you 10% more likely to recall it at a later time, right? So you can imagine 10 repetitions ensures that you're likely to remember it forever. And thirdly, we can start using recordings to evaluate pronunciation. We give students a text and then record them, have them record themselves, and we can see, we can go through the text and see how well they've pronounced each of the words based on the lessons we provide. So how can we record these monologues and dialogues? I'm going to suggest 2 bits of software which seem to be working, and they are vocaroo.com and Zoom, which we're using now. Let's have a look at Vocaroo. So I'm going to stop the share, and I'm going to switch to my browser. Here it is. Okay, some comments here. And I'll open up a new tab, and I'll type in vocaroo.com. Simple website. I've been using it for years. It used to be Flash, and now it's HTML5. You click on the red button. It starts recording immediately. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You click on the red square. Stops, you can play it back. Starts recording immediately. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You click, and then there's a button, save and share. And look what you get. You can either download it and then upload it to Omnivox or whatever course management system or Moodle or whatever you're using, or you can copy a link and send the link either through the chat module of Zoom or through Moodle, Moodle assignment, or through email. There are lots of ways for students to record their voice for you to evaluate. Okay, the next thing perhaps is to look at Zoom. Now I'm still learning about Zoom. This is all very, very new for me. But one thing about Zoom that I've learned is that there are settings. So once you, let's see if I can figure this out here. So once you sign in, and I'm using Google to sign me in. It's very simple and quick. I bought the $20 Pro account, $20 a month. And I figure $20 is not a lot. Perhaps I'll ask the college to pay me back. I don't know. It doesn't seem like a big deal. And what I want to show you is the settings menu. It's here. So under Zoom, you have settings. If you click on that, you have all the options. I won't go through all of them because it's a long list. But you can allow students to connect using telephone or computer audio. You can allow them to join before the host, which is something that you were all able to do. You can require a password, which I don't ask for. The password is embedded in the URL. Mute participants upon entry. I've got this off, thinking that this will just add some confusion to students not knowing how to turn on their microphone. There's a chat module that you can have on. You can make it private. You can auto-save it. You can transfer files to each other. You can send files through the chat module. You can set a co-host. You can set polls. We can get into that another time. And we can share screens, of course. There's so much. There's also, I'll see if I can find it, Breakout Rooms. Yeah, a breakout room. I'm going to turn that on. So I can't do it now, but we'll try it on another day. what that means is that you can put students into separate rooms for them to chat with each other, and then you can visit that room to see what they're up to. And I think you can record them during their conversations. And it seems there's a lot you can do that would allow us to transfer a lot of what we're doing now to the online version. All right, let's see. All right, I won't go through all of it right now, but you get the idea. The other thing that we can do is we can ask students to record some presentations. Now, I've been using Screencast-O-Matic, which is free, or $15 a year. The free version is fine, and get students to, let's say, present a website related to their field of study, show us what it does and how it works, and explain a little bit about their field of study. It seems a valid task and totally worthwhile in this time where, you know, communication will be at a distance. There's a free version, an open source version called OBS that a student recommended and a colleague recommended again today. You can try that. It's open source, and so there's no cost attached.
Hello?
Hello, somebody.
Hi, yes. Nick?
Yes.
Hi, it's Helen. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well.
I just want to ask a question because your information is really great and detailed, but I know that a lot of people in my department are totally untech savvy, and we're discussing having just one platform for the whole department because our students also have a lot of anxiety about using technology, or they have problems connecting, etc. So maybe we could address that also as a group. I mean, I don't know about you, this is the first Zoom meeting I've ever done. So I don't know how my students are going to handle the anxiety of doing this as well.
Yeah, I'm sure anxiety is going to be a big deal. I think, sorry, my chair is rather noisy. I should put that. I think one thing we should all consider, I'm going to get to Frank in a minute. One thing we should all consider is perhaps making use of the Moodle systems that are available. You can check with your college. I'm sure there's a Moodle there. Sometimes they could be a bit difficult, and sometimes they're not optimized for English. Now, one thing I would like to offer to everybody here and everybody in the CEGEP network is I have a Moodle server. It's on labodanglais.com. I'm planning to open it up entirely for free to everybody to use, not as a marketing ploy, not as an attempt to sell anything. I'm not trying to do anything like that, but simply to give people an option that could work for them, and quite frankly has been optimized for second language learning. I've been using it for years now, and Frank is on there and has a lot of experience too. Now, perhaps Frank has something he wants to say.
Yeah, Helen, that was a great comment you made. For me, what's so important, can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Yes? For me, what's so important is the platform, because the platform brings together so many different tools. I mean, we have this plethora, this overabundance of tools. When we were at Rascals last time, Andy spoke about a number of tools, and there are always these places that suggest, and even today, Nick suggested tools. But what we want to do is have a central location where we can bring everything together for both you and your students. And for me, it's been Moodle over the years. Now, I understand, and I know Andrea Frings is online from CEGEP Saint Laurent, that Moodle has not always been robust in the language lab, because if you have 30 students online, it gets a bit overloaded. So I would like to stress what Nick is offering as that platform, as a very robust, Nick's platform now is a very robust platform that is flexible, it's customizable, and it's useful for posting. Our immediate need, I was listening to the CEGEP, to the Saint Laurent teachers had a Zoom meeting the other day, and they said, where can I post, where can I do orals? Where can I post writing? So again, going back to to Moodle as the central repository, where you could have students post their Vocaroo, is that it, Nick? The Vocaroo recordings, the Zoom recording, the screencast, and I've done that with students. They post their recordings on the Moodle website. They post their writings on the Moodle website. So and you can track them. You can track them on the Moodle site. So for me, it's a precious tool. And what you're offering, Nick, which is called CEGEP, what is it? It's CEGEP English Moodle. It's a generic website that I think will be of great service to teachers and will actually, you're going to, of course, bypass the Moodle in your college, but I think it will be a service to colleges because already it's Nick has it there. It's a website that you can access immediately. You don't have to go to your DRT, the Direction des Ressources Techniques, and ask and go through all the bureaucratic tape and very immediately get access to a website. So Nick, congratulations on actually making it available to teachers. Obviously, it takes a little bit of a learning curve to know how to use Moodle if you haven't done before, but it's really quite easy. You can upload documents, you can upload resources, and you could share it with students. So again, congratulations for this CEGEP English Moodle CEM. I recommend everyone at least get it as quickly as possible.
Well, thanks, Frank. Look, as I say, I'm not trying to sell anything. It's a website I've developed over the years. We have a lot of content. It's going to be 100% free. You can try it out. Go to labodanglais.com and put in the username teacher and the password teacher, and it'll take you in there. You can start playing with it, and I can help you out. But that's not the focus today. Let's return to the other tools that we can use.
I have another question, if I could.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So, and I think these are really great tools. My other concern is the fact that we've lost a few weeks here, and I'm going to have to sort of compress assignments, etc. And I was wondering about your thoughts on things like we have a double seuil. Should we get rid of that for this semester? Thoughts on I didn't get a chance to do my midterm writings, so do I need to like get rid of these things and then put all of the points into the finals? Things like compressing work because we've lost a couple weeks. And how important really are listening and reading tests in online, or more precisely, listening tests? How can I handle listening tests? How can I do them?
Look,
or do I need to get rid of that?
Look, I can't tell you how to run your professional practice. I think these are the questions that we all have to consider for ourselves over the course of this this difficult period. And I think it really is the model that we choose. Are we going to engage? If so, let's find the tools. Let's help each other. Perhaps it is just a case of landing a burning airliner safely on the ground and get as many students through the door as possible. But I mean, ultimately, I think we owe it to ourselves and our professional practice. And quite frankly, let's face it, this is all a rehearsal for August, right? Unless there is a vaccine that comes out, and from what I've heard, it's not possible, or we can make this disease internationally extinct through quarantine, we are going to be facing this problem for a long time. So whatever we do now is a rehearsal for what's coming. What I wanted to do was to just go through a few more tools and then open up a big discussion for everybody to participate in. And I didn't want to get to the big questions all on my own. Frank, maybe you want to just...
No, let Jimmy say, Helen, again, to respond to you. Moodle again. I got to go back to Moodle because I've been using it for the college for many years, and now I'm using Nick's Moodle. But there you can create your own quizzes with a little learning and a little effort. You can actually post. You could take your, let's say, paper-based quizzes and type them into Moodle very easily and get automatic assessment. It's automatic, and students get the scores. So again, a great tool to actually do listening and reading comprehension online.
Yeah, and we've got lots of material we can share, right? We can share lots of material. It's not a problem. Let's just go back to the slides that I had there and just see what more we can talk about. Where it is. Oh, there it is. And the last thing I really wanted to talk about was this. What about writing? Now, we've been experimenting with Google Doc here. I often tell people about the website Virtual Writing Tutor that I've been working on for the past 8 years. It's free. There's an ad on it that helps to pay for things, but it's completely free. You may not know this, but 70,000 people use this website every week. So it might be, you're not the only one who uses it, and it would allow you to give feedback very quickly and not have the same 2-week turnaround as you usually have. And the third option is something called peer review. Moodle allows for students to put in a text and then have classmates read it and using a rubric assess it. So in fact, there's a chance here to give even more feedback and more peer collaboration, peer feedback and self-assessment than was perhaps possible in the past. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing now and just open up the conversation. Let's see what people have to say. You'll have to turn your mics on, raise your hand, and we'll encourage everybody to participate. There's Gil. Go ahead, Gil.
Hi, I just posted a message, and my biggest concern is I don't understand how we're going to guarantee that the students don't cheat on the final assessments. There are many ways that we can do formative stuff online and at a distance, but in the end, for the exam, how do you know they're not using the dictionary or they're not getting help? There's no way for us to verify that.
I have an opinion on that.
I have an opinion on that as well.
Go ahead. Yeah. Whoever's got an opinion, go ahead. Join the conversation.
I think I agree that there's no way of stopping students from texting to a friend while they're doing the evaluation. So even something through Moodle where you're evaluating listening or reading, students can take pictures of the screen, their screen, pass it on to somebody else. And it also kind of invalidates your Moodle tests that you've already created for future years, because they can make a bank of those answers from tests you've been using in the past, etc. There's no way of really stopping that, even in a controlled time where if you have two students who are talking to each other doing an oral, you can't control what's in front of them for sure. Normally I wouldn't have students with a vocabulary list in front of them. They can have it there and they can use it. So that eliminates one of the things I like to test, which is whether they're reusing any of the vocabulary from the course. I think that's just going to be something that's a reality that, to me, when I read about the petition of some CEGEP students saying they'd like to cut IR, not to count for this semester, to me, that makes a lot of sense. And what would be really nice would be, I think, if the government just said, you can mark it as a pass or a fail, and that's it for this term. Because to then make distinctions between a 70 and an 85 and all that things that have an impact on cut IR getting into university in the context for evaluation, I don't think that's fair.
I agree.
Yeah, it's a big problem, and it's maybe one that we really need to solve in order to, because learning and teaching English we can do online. It's been done before. We can adapt. It's the evaluation that's going to be the big problem, I think.
There's maybe one
Can
more
I add
point.
something?
I'm just going to make one point on this very quickly, and that is to say, we have a temptation here, and that is to make perfection the enemy of the good. We need to find the best solution for the most students to get them to the end of this semester. And if we become sticklers and say our tests are not 100% secure, or I'm unable to continue with the testing protocols that I had in the past, then we're really going to stand in the way of moving things forward these problems are long-term problems that we're going to need to solve over time. And collectively, I think we can do it. And I'll stop.
Could I make a comment on that?
Go ahead.
I think our directrice des études was suggesting to us that we go back to the elements of competency that we have to evaluate. For a start, go back to simple things. Don't necessarily go with the same kind of evaluations that we've been doing necessarily, but make sure we're just trying to evaluate the competency that we're supposed to. And I think for some things, like for written, for a long time, I've had some of my written exams, especially in specific English courses, as take-home exams. And surprisingly enough, even when they can use all their materials, all their resources, and they can even get help from other people to do it, they still don't necessarily do that. They don't take the time to do it. They don't necessarily have the time to do it. So I think it is possible to change perhaps the way we evaluate, let them for written exams, use materials, etc. Obviously up our standards and say, well, we're expecting no spelling mistakes, whatever, I don't know, but up our standards a little bit, saying you are able now to use all your materials. But I think we have to try and simplify things a little for evaluations.
Can I add something? Is that okay? Okay. Okay. I've got a few things to say about Zoom and the breakout rooms and stuff, because we're using it, Philippe Gagné and I from Vanier. But about this, it works, Rachel, for maybe higher levels. And at 100 level, we don't like that they use that many tools, even though it is useful for them in real life. Like eventually they're going to use tools. They're never going to be like 103 unless like later in life, and we won't see that. But you're right, though, we have to go to the real core of what we're doing, what we're teaching, the competencies, and we can tell most of the time when they're cheating or when they borrow something. And 100 level, it's even easier to see. About Zoom, by the way, before you start playing with breakout rooms, don't bother, not at this point in time, because breakout rooms, first you need an account that you pay for. The CEGEPs might provide this. Philippe and I have had the time of our lives trying to put them in breakout rooms from lists that we've built in an Excel form that it works with Zoom. And then you can set them in little teams, because we're two colleges talking to each other on the same Moodle platform. And now I'm really giving you lots of my rascals presentation information.
Yeah, thank you.
But now we're gonna make a better report later, I guess. But yeah, in terms of breakout rooms, it's really complicated, because when you have like 50 students or like 30, whatever, waiting in front of you, you see all their faces on the screen and you want to place them in breakout rooms, you're just rushing your life. So don't bother with this right away. I think I set up many meetings I scheduled different meetings for my students to do their midterm speaking in little teams in our groupe témoin, our control group. Nobody showed up because it was last Monday, and then the school was already canceled and nothing was obligatory, so they didn't show up. But if you set up like two people talking in the screen, and then you watch them and you see yourself, you know, like with 3 pairs of eyes, that'll be stressful enough, and it'll be enough for now. If you haven't used Zoom, don't go too far too fast. That's it.
Could I make another comment as well about the Zoom and everything else we're talking about? One of the things I made the comment in the chat, but I know that not everyone can follow the chat and watch at the same time. We do have a number of student parents. I don't know if that's the case for many of you, but I think that trying to keep teaching synchronous might be complicated for people. And somebody did mention that, yes, they may only have one computer in the house, and that might make things difficult. So it's also possible to do other things and keep asynchronous activities going. We can comment PowerPoints, for example. We have our PowerPoint set up usually. It's possible to do a commentary over the top of that. So instead of trying to do it in a meeting, we can do the comments on the PowerPoint and things like that. So it might be an idea to try and set up asynchronous activities as well.
Go ahead, Frank. Oh, sorry.
Yes, I think, hello? Hello?
Hi, Frank.
Yeah, no, you mentioned Screencast-O-Matic before, which I have my students use. You as a teacher can very easily create short lessons with Screencast-O-Matic and slides.
Yeah.
So, and make them asynchronous and just post them on the Moodle site.
Yeah.
So it's very simple to use. You're on camera, you create a slide, a Google slide I like to use, and prepare a short lesson, post it asynchronously. You can use Zoom for synchronous. You could probably set an hour a week for having students get together with you online for a session and get feedback from them and
Use
talk.
the rest of the time to do screencast. Let's get Ursula in here. This is our
Yes.
coordinator.
May I speak after Ursula? Yeah. I think one of the things, one of the very important things to consider in terms of 100 students, I think realistically, many are going to drop. The contact I've had with my 100 students, like Rachel was saying, a lot of them have children at home that they're taking care of. I mean, obviously the population will differ from one stage up to the next. I very much hope that they will be allowed to drop courses without any penalty, without a failing mark. Basically, just change that date d'abandon. And I really think that is something that should happen, because very many people, they have family members working in the healthcare system. They may have sick people they're taking care of. And the last thing they're going to want to worry about, especially at the 100 level, and if they fail their midterms, is trying to get through this course. And especially, I think in general, the more advanced students are able to learn on their own. So a lot of the things that we're suggesting requires students to be very, very independent. And what I was envisaging for my 102Bs was basically, if we can, and I'm assuming we'll be able to reduce the heure contact, so that a 3-hour class, you divide the class into 3 groups, and you would see them each for an hour for a discussion, at least to have them practice. And frankly, during this discussion period, based on the reading or whatever it is they were supposed to do, we could evaluate their speaking. So there is no cheating. We tell them this is the evaluation that's happening. So I think for the advanced courses, it's using Leia or Moodle, depending on what people are comfortable with, and PowerPoint explanations, and telling them, go, read this text, whatever it is. I think we can manage to evaluate quite fairly. And obviously everything is changing. We cannot, I mean, as Nick was saying, we can't evaluate everything the way we've been doing it. It has to change. That's all.
Can I jump in for a second?
Please do, Joy.
Well, it was just to follow up something that Frank had said, and then I also wrote it in the chat. But I've been using Screencast for a long time, and I have my students create videos. And I have also created a number of videos, short grammar lessons. I will be happy to share them with everyone, and people can use them or not. And I've got for level 100, 102, and 103. I don't have anything for 101 because I haven't taught it in a long time. But I would make my material available for the entire teacher, Sage ESL teacher population, if I can find a good place to put it.
Well, I'm offering a Moodle that you can upload it and then you can share it that way if you like.
Okay, I'll put it on your Moodle.
Okay, great. The username is labodanglais.com. The username is teacher. The password is teacher.
Yeah, I wrote it down earlier. Thank
Joy,
you.
it'll be your Moodle. You can customize your own. It's not Nick's Moodle. He's giving teachers the opportunity to have their own Moodle.
That's it.
I think
I
unbelievable.
did have a Moodle. I'm not teaching this semester, and so.
I think it's Gil and then Robin next.
Yeah, hi. The major concern I have, I teach 100 levels and 101s, is the lack of sophistication that many of my students have with basic technology. They don't know how to use it. They don't read instructions very well. It's very confusing for them. And even though you repeat and tell them how to do stuff, they don't manage. And so I see there's going to be some inequity in terms of how we can get students to benefit from the efforts that we're making to help them save the session. It's really worrisome to me because even though I think I'm very crystal clear and I repeat and I draw and I show, they still don't get it many times.
Yeah, I think we've all noticed that. Students have a familiarity with technology, but their sophistication, their digital literacy is razor thin. It's very superficial. They know how to post a like on, TikTok, but they don't seem to know how to follow instructions.
Indent. They don't know how to indent 5 spaces on Word.
It's the challenge of being a teacher, but also I think we're going to be learning a lot the next few weeks. Robin is next, but her mic is off. Maybe she can unmute herself.
I've unmuted
Can you hear me?
Nick?
I'm not sure that I'm comfortable with the switch onto online because I'm so animated in front of the classroom and I use a lot of student engagement. So there's a lot of physicality to my classroom style and there's a lot of interaction. So there's an enormous amount of group work, there's an enormous amount of discussion, even with my 101s. So I'm deer in the headlights about this because this means a complete turnaround or different style for me in my approach. And I was wondering if anyone had any suggestions on how to sort of maintain that engagement, performing exactly. It's exactly that. But the students perform as well, and it getting them outside of their comfort zones makes it more fun for them, and just it's a very dynamic atmosphere. And I'm just wondering how to maintain that because I'm also teaching adults, and the adults really need a lot of encouragement as well. So if anyone has any suggestions on how to make it as dynamic as possible, that'd be great.
I'd like to respond very quickly to that. And that is to say, I think it's helpful to think back to the beginning years of radio and TV, when people would stand back from the microphone and shout to the crowd. And only recently have we realized that you can get very close to the camera and it becomes a very intimate way of communicating. We're going to have to adapt our communication style to the platform that we have. And I know how you feel. I play card games with my students. Card games, how am I gonna do that? We'll see.
Robin, Zoom, a live Zoom session for half an hour, will allow you to interact. You can send students a link. They would go into Zoom, they would be there, and you can interact with them and do your show, presentation, tell jokes, and so on in Zoom live. So that's fantastic.
Well, I'm hoping that, I know that some teachers have made some attempts at doing this and a lot of students just haven't been attending. One teacher at my college tried to set something up, something fun and dynamic, and 5 kids came. So, and she cast a wide net onto all of her classes and only 5 showed up, and it was a 101 level. We know from experience that the 101s tend to be a little less engaged, and I'm just concerned about, keeping them sort of going. If that's what we have to do, I take it on myself to do it. So that's...
I have a colleague in the States teaching at the university level. She's teaching at a fully online university, and each week she has to do an hour of Zoom classroom, and hardly anyone goes. And she's saying, I'm almost alone in these. So I understand the problem. It's getting students to engage.
Marion had something to say.
Yeah, hi, Robin. I used to be a broadcaster, and I did a lot of media training also on flipped classrooms in Europe. And but that's something different again, because then you are recording yourself for 15 minutes, giving the instructions to the students. So the idea is that they then can log on and they can see your recording. And 15 minutes is about the maximum attention span for a talking head, as we call it. So, but then, so there's no interaction in that case, and that's very challenging because you're just talking to a camera, as we are now, although we can see each other, but you're talking into a camera. And then the challenge really is to maintain eye contact, have things positioned well with the background, but also it's about keeping your energy going. And I can, just when you talk, your voice and the way you position yourself, you already have an energy, and one can sense it. But voice becomes really, really important when you're doing these things as well. We don't tend to, because we're so visual, we don't focus on voice a lot. But it's important to, speak, of course, more slowly, to use shorter sentences, but to animate your voice and to animate yourself so that you look normal and not like a stick figure lecturing. I think with Zoom, which I've used as well, it is, as Frank said, it's easy to interact because you see them. They are there and they react to what you're saying. So your energy does get through the camera to them. So that is also a question of practice. It's not ideal. Of course, it's great to plunge into the crowd and to get that energy going in that energy feedback loop. But this is just a different way of getting your energy to reach out to those students. And I think you can do it if you are an energetic person in the first place and you teach that way. So I don't think you really need to worry that much. Whether they come or not is something else. But you always have that problem, right? So that would be my word of comfort to you.
Thank you very much. That's very reassuring.
Sure.
Can I jump in if you guys don't mind? I'm very happy to see the Rascals crew. Nice to see you, everyone. This is Felix from Levy. Sorry, I don't have a camera at home. Personally, I think to come back to the very beginning, I think I'm just going to try and crash land the plane this semester and, save what we can, especially for students who are finishing their decks this semester. One thing in terms of interaction, it doesn't have to be with the teacher. It can be among the students, and they can, like, we regularly have discussion groups in class, and the way we were thinking of addressing this is that we could simply give the students the tools, but then they can organize with each other, so they can meet online either through Zoom, or we have Teams in Levy, which works really well for small groups. And then they can, there's usually one person who's responsible for discussion who can write up some kind of comment, or, just to make sure that it's been done. And this could work for speaking exams too. I mean, I wasn't thinking of doing any synchronous work with the students for the rest of the semester. I'll let them do it among themselves, but except for exams, because then there's the whole cheating thing, and giving them a pass or fail grade is definitely something that's in the air. But we were wondering, especially for writing exams, because if you have Zoom, you can see the students, and yes, they can read, but I mean, you can adjust your grids. But for writing exams, we've heard that some people give online courses where you can see the students, so through their webcam, but you could also at the same time see what the students have on their screen. So you can basically make sure they don't use Google Translate. Like, does anybody know a platform that does both? That's my question. And the last point, the last problem for me will be to give feedback to students, because especially for speaking and in terms of grammar and writing. I mean, I'm working from home, as all of you are, I suppose, and it's going to be, I'm used to working with paper. So this is going to be a big challenge for me. I'm not really quite sure how I'm going to give feedback to students. I can give them a grade, yeah, for sure, but giving feedback is something else.
Are you saying that we can see what the students have on their screens? No.
So can I
like
just
to.
jump in here? Can I
Oh,
just
yeah,
jump
well,
in?
we can't.
Okay, can I jump in with a suggestion? So at my CEGEP, I have them do all their writing exams in the lab, and on the lab I have what's called this hindsight, and I can see exactly what they're doing on the computers. But those computers are in my lab. We're probably in at Marivic, we're probably going to go use the platform Microsoft Office 365, on which we can have video conferencing. I can deposit assignments. They can upload their finished work. I might be able to do what you're talking about and see what they're doing on their computer through Microsoft Office 365. I'm not sure, but I would suggest that you talk to your IT people.
Yeah, I'm going to make a suggestion here, if you don't mind. I think the real solution to copy pasting and to cheating and to plagiarism is simply this. Students collaborate to construct a new text that is only possible through collaboration and involves information that they each bring to the text. The notion of giving a single topic to all students, all at the same time, 5 different groups, encourages plagiarism and cheating. Collaboration requiring that the writing be a product of a discussion ensures that they will invest in the discussion and give you something that's guaranteed to be new.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Oh, okay. I just want to find out if my mic is working, because when we started this process at 1 o'clock, I couldn't get my mic working. Is it working now?
Yeah, you're doing a great job.
Okay.
You're coming in through very clearly.
That's all.
Do you have another question, or shall we go to Frank?
Well, let's go to Frank.
Okay, Frank.
No, Helen, again, you made an excellent point. I haven't done this. I mean, in the lab, we use what's called, I forget what we use, Land School, where you can follow the student in the lab on his machine. Why? I mean, if you want to take the trouble to have students write in Google Share, where they're writing live their text and they're sharing it with you as they're writing, and you could have maybe 20 open, you could have shorter assignments, and you could actually follow what students are writing in Google Share. So that may be a way to keep students on track.
I think Ali has something to say.
Nick, I think I have something to say concerning this. I mean, at this stage where we are, students using dictionaries, students exchanging information, students collaborating, that's what I would call it, is, I mean, it's not cheating, or it's not my priority at this stage. My priority is have them come to my Zoom and share what they have to share. Now, for those who are concerned about students exchanging information and cheating, I have, I think David suggested that there's nothing to do against that. I have a link to share with everyone here, if you don't mind. Can I share it on the screen?
Why don't you put it in the chat?
I put it on in the chat room.
Okay. I'll download it and I'll share it.
Okay, I'll just add it to the chat room.
Thank you. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to interrupt here very quickly. We're now at 1 hour 1:56. 1:56. 1:55, I should say. We've got about 5 minutes left. I don't think we're going to be able to solve all our problems here.
Here we go.
Okay, thank you, Ali. We'll have a look at that in a minute. What I want to do is to end this session with some reassurance and a request. So the reassurance is, hey, everybody, we've found each other. Let's help each other. Let's collaborate. Let's draw on each other's expertise, our intelligence, and our creativity to solve this problem. That's the first thing. The second thing is, let's make a list of our concerns and topics that we want to discuss going forward. This is our opportunity to rehearse for August, but also to set up a series of discussions that we could continue. We can have up to 100 participants, potentially every week, sharing, warning, offering advice and links. What do you say? Does that interest you?
Yes.
Great.
Sure.
Sure. Yes.
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 Do you have some sort of a mailing list, Nicholas? Because I can share with the teachers at my CEGEP, or and we can go exponential.
Yeah, great. Let's.
Will be more than 100.
No, the word is viral. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Say that.
Okay, well, what I'm doing now is I'm creating a another Google Doc where we can share. Anybody with the link can edit. And what I'm going to suggest is, and I'll put it to the, I've just copied the link. And what I'll suggest is that we start writing on this document. What do you want to talk about next? I mean, let's make a list of topics and see how we can draw upon the intelligence of the group to solve our collective and shared problems. Right, I'll stop sharing now and
May I ask a really quick question?
Go ahead.
When are people expected to start teaching? I know in the Cégep de Granby, there's still no news. So are some people starting this week? I saw online some people are starting in a couple of weeks. April 6th, I see somebody just wrote.
Yeah, April 6th, yeah.
I think April 6th for us too at Maryvic.
College de Valleyfield, no answer yet.
We're told not until May.
For Lille Gros, we're supposed to start on the 6th, but for the for formation continue, we were told yesterday that we had 3 days to come up with online courses that had to be submitted Friday, and we start on Monday.
Oh.
So the panic is
where? Which college?
The formation continue at Lille Gros.
Oh yeah.
But the union is on it because apparently they're not allowed to do that. So anyway, April 6th apparently is the government's idea.
Well, it can't be earlier than that, because even here we don't even have a platform, or we're not sure if the Zoom licenses have been bought. I know Vanier is really ahead of the ball. They bought their Zoom licenses, and they would like to start next week. But there's resistance everywhere, and here we're not ready. We're still in committees, and people are meeting this afternoon. Nothing is decided. And then they're going to tell us to go and start teaching on Monday? I don't think so.
C'est ça qu'on nous a dit, puis on nous a dit, débrouillez-vous, trouvez-vous une plateforme que vous aimez bien, et voilà, c'est tout.
Yeah, but you don't have the union we have.
The union didn't know about it, and the union's furious, so the union is on it, but the union's doing everything that they can right now, so it's a lot for everybody to handle.
The students on your side, Robin, you'll be all right.
I'm sure.
The students are pushing back. They have a 75,000 member petition to stop this online teaching, because they said that not everybody has access to computers, etc.
Yeah,
so,
I think there are 2 petitions, huh?
Yeah, so there's quite a big pushback with the students too.
Hey, look, the clowns are running the circus. We're going to do our best in the best way we can. We're professionals. We're going to support each other. We're going to support our students. We're going to get this airliner safely to the ground and get as many people as we can through the door. Because you know what? Some of us are training paramedics. Some of us are training nurses. Some of us are training police officers. Society needs the graduates that we produce, and we have a duty to help them, help us rescue our society from this crisis.
Are you running for office?
Yes, I am. For this office.
Nicholas, quick question. How we're going to access that document? How we're going to make it available?
I'm going to have to, why don't we get everybody to put in their email address into the chat thread now? I'll make a collection of them and I'll send it out. And I'll ask Ursula if we can use the ESL coordination mailing list.
You couldn't make a Facebook group?
Well, we have a Facebook group. And just blast it through every platform we have and just help each other. Why not? Thank you, everybody.
Some of us aren't on Facebook, so email would be great.
We're going to do our best through every platform we have, right?
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
Bye.
Thanks, Nick.
Well done, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Good luck.
Thanks a lot, Nick.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So that went well.
Well done, Nick.
Nicholas?
We can just try, right? Hey, actually have
No,
to.
it's great. I was thinking about Rascals. It's been cancelled. I mean, this is an alternative. I mean, we could easily organize some virtual kind of Rascal.
Yeah, well,
Think about it.
I have to get to a Zoom meeting with the rest of my department now, and we'll maybe have a similar conversation. Anyway,
Thanks
thanks.
a lot, Nick. I really appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Bye everybody.